So there's no reason why anybody in this room cannot finish Juz Amma in 32 weeks, even if you just accepted Islam yesterday. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. So the style of this class, if you ever heard the term, is a flipped classroom. And that's what you want to do. And any of you younger ones going to college, this is something that you should do as well, where you study the material before going to class. You read the chapter before going to class. So that's how this week is going to be designed. So if you guys have this schedule, week 1 is actually next week. So you got to do work for week 1 before we get into Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq, which is you got to bring the Tajweed and the Tafsir on your own. You do that throughout the week, and then this way in class, we're practicing that Tafsir and practicing that Tajweed. But if you don't have it, then we got to spend an hour on the Tafsir, another hour on the Tajweed. Now the class is 2 hours, and then we don't even have any time to practice it with each other. I don't have any time to hear you recite, correct you. So it's not going to be as efficient as if you just do it on your own. So it's already recorded. We have a group chat on Telegram. Make sure you get added to that chat before leaving today. Anyone else who wants to join the class, make sure you put them in that chat. It's Ahlul Quran. It's a group chat on Telegram. If you're in it, you know it's just about Quran. It's about nothing else. There's no other messages. It's just Tafsir, Tajweed, and it's from Surah Al-Nas all the way to Surah Al-Ghashiyah is where we stopped. But inshallah, by the time you get there, bi'idhnillah, we'll be ahead and we'll finish Juz Amma, inshallah. So this week's homework after today's class is to go home, Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. The first thing you ever do is you take the word by word breakdown of the surah. You learn what each individual word means. Once you know the meaning of each individual word, then you go into the tafsir of that. But before any of that, you got to make sure you even know how to read it. Because how can you even identify the words? You got to practice reading it. Practicing the tajweed, there's a whole video, all you got to do is watch it. Practicing how to recite it properly. Do one surah at a time. So next week, after today's class, you're going to leave this class, inshallah. You're going to pick up Surah Al-Nas on the group chat. You're going to watch the tajweed. You're going to practice reciting it. You're going to write the meaning of each individual word. And then you're going to listen to the tafsir of Surah Al-Nas. And then you're going to work on memorizing it if you didn't already memorize it. A lot of us already have it memorized. And then you're going to move on to Surah Al-Falaq. You're only going to take those 2 surahs because it's about quality over quantity for now. But it's slowly going to pick up as we go on throughout the weeks. So if you see from like week 1 to week 4, they're all very small surahs. All you're taking is 2 surahs a week, small surahs. But then those surahs start getting a little bigger. Week 6, week 7, week 8, they get a little bigger. And then if you keep looking down, they get bigger and bigger. So it's not like equal all the weeks. We start off easy, and we slowly progress to the point where it gets, we're not even going to call it hard, because the hardest thing you're doing is, even Surah Al-Naba, we broke it into 2. You're not even taking a full page a week, ever, in this entire program. So there's no reason why anybody in this room cannot finish Juz Amma in 32 weeks, even if you just accepted Islam yesterday. Even if you don't know any letters, you don't know how to read, you don't know anything. You don't even know Surah Al-Fatiha. Doesn't matter. Like 32 weeks is a long time to memorize Juz Amma. Like if you took 1 page a week, which is very slow, you would finish in 20 weeks. We're still giving you an extra 12. So we're going very slow, inshallah. And if you struggle, if you fall behind, don't worry about it. The person who's successful is the one who comes and he sits in his classroom for 32 weeks. That's the one who succeeded, regardless of whatever you memorize. Fulan might already know Juz Amma, come today and never show back up again. And he lost because he thinks he knows. And there's going to be a lot of benefits he's going to miss out on, from the tafsir to the tajweed to the reviewing of it to how strong you know it. So we want quality over quantity. So we're going to be learning in this class. You heard me say these terms. We broke them down last week. We'll break them down again because we got new faces today, really quickly. Number 1 is we're going to be taking tajweed in this class. What is tajweed? ما معنى tajweed لغة? What does it mean? I'm asking. What does it mean linguistically, the word tajweed? No, not reciting.
Pronunciation of the letters and sounds?
That's a really good answer, but not linguistically. That's the definition of it, istilahan, like in the context, yes, it deals with the pronunciation of letters. Na'am, al-itqan, which means what? Perfection. Tajweed linguistically means perfection. Perfection in what? What are we trying to perfect? We're trying to perfect the recitation of the Quran, which means, like you said, to perfect the pronunciation of the letters. Letters have sifat, they have characteristics. There's rules when certain letters come together. Conditions of the letter. Letter is sakin, you do certain things to it. That's Tajweed. We're going to be learning that science. Any science that you try to learn, whether it's Tajweed or Tafsir, whether it's mathematics, whether it's physics, anything you're trying to learn in life, there's a theoretical method and a practical method. You know, how do you say, there's book smarts and there's street smarts. We want both. We want to have both. Practical knowledge is what we're going to focus on in this physical classroom, but you want to study Tajweed outside of this class as well. You want to take the rules. Ahkam al-Noon is this. Ahkam al-Mim is this. Idgham, Ikhfa, it looks like this. Qalqala. You want to take that outside of this class. My father's teaching Tajweed separately from this class. You should attend that class and learn all of your ahkam. That's theoretical knowledge, where you take the rules, you take the formulas. This is practical. This is, give me the mushaf, tell me how to say it right. Tell me what I'm saying wrong. Circle it for me. This is practical. So we're going to be doing that, inshallah. So that's Tajweed. That's the first bulk of what we're doing. The next part is, there's a difference between translation and tafsir. Even though translation is a type of tafsir. Translation is you're trying to understand the meaning of the words of the ayah. Inna ladina kafaru sawa'un alayhim. The disbelievers, it's the same upon them. Anzartahum, if you warn them. Am lam tundirhum, or you don't warn them. La yu'minun, they won't believe. That's translation. But what does that mean? Do we give da'wah to the kuffar? Do we not give da'wah to the kuffar? Who is this ayah revealed concerning? That's all what? Tafsir. So we learn this ayah is actually talking about Abu Jahl and the people of his likes. Those kinds of people who are so extreme in their kufr, who've been warned time and time again, those are the people who won't believe. That's called tafsir, breaking it down like that. This ayah came down regarding this man, this situation, asbab nuzul, as well as breaking down the ayah even more. That's called tafsir. So that's what we're going to be studying, inshallah. But before you dive into the tafsir, you got to know what the words mean. And one big point when you're studying anything is to not get lost in the sauce. So sometimes you're taking an ayah, always when you're reading the tafsir, always look at that ayah. Oh, Ibn Kathir said this ayah because he's trying to describe this. He brought this hadith because of this word. He brought this because of the word maghfirah, because of the word taqwa. And you got to know what we're talking about. Why are we reading all this? A lot of times people listen to tafsir like a story time and they forget about the ayat that they're trying to understand. The whole point is we're trying to understand these ayat. And we'll make that clear, inshallah, as we go. But this week for homework, when you go through the tafsir of Surah An-Nas, for example, where we're talking about قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, think about that ayah as you listen to the tafsir. Of what does it mean, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ? But keep pointing back to the ayah. This way, when you read the ayah, you understand what you're reading. All right, so that's very important, inshallah. So that's tafsir. And that's the word by word breakdown. That's what we're going to be taking this class. Also, we want to review. A lot of times you sit in Quran classes, you might have memorized surah, but a lot of us don't still have it with us today. To be a hafiz doesn't just mean to memorize, it means to preserve. Like when you memorize some Quran, you got to preserve that Quran. Because guess what? What you guys are doing right now is mustahab. It's favored, it's liked, it's amazing. It's one of the best things you could do on the face of this earth. Memorize kalam Allah, the words of Allah. But it's not mandatory upon you. The only thing that's mandatory is Surah Al-Fatiha because you need it for salah. Any other surah out of the 113 surahs in the Quran is mustahab. But once you memorize a surah, it's mandatory to keep it. Because we learn in the authentic hadith that the person is punished in his grave for forgetting Quran that he once knew. So you got to ask yourself, why am I memorizing Quran? To call myself a hafiz? Just to say I know this much Quran? Just so I could get on the microphone and recite, people say I got a beautiful voice? What's your intention? Is it so this guy and that guy can say, oh, he knows Quran? Or is it just to, I don't like being ignorant, and that's the reason why I'm learning? I don't like to not know, so what's your reason? Our reason should be that we're trying to draw closer to Allah. That we want to enter Jannah. You want a high level of Jannah. If that's really your intention, then why are you not keeping what you memorized? So if you see on the right, we have daily revision. Daily revision is more important than the memorization. That's the most important thing, that you're reviewing the Quran every single day of your life. So starting today, inshallah, there's never going to be a day in your life where you don't open up the Quran. You hold the mushaf in your hand. You got tartil on your phone, you recite into it. Or you're reading from memory. The point is that you're reviewing every single day. And if you see how easy it is on week 1, all you got to do is spend 1 minute. 1 minute for 7 days. But the question is, did you do that? That's what it's about. Because if you look at week 32, you're supposed to spend 45 minutes a day. How are we going to get to that point? Because if I told you right now, you got to spend 45 minutes a day reviewing, 99% of people in this class are not doing that. But we have to build there. We got to start by spending a minute a day for a whole week. and then 2 minutes a day for a whole week, and then 3 minutes a day for a whole week, until we get to the point where 45 minutes is easy. Because it's just part of my life. Quran is a part of my life. And you know, you got to make, a lot of us, everybody says they're busy. Everybody's busy. We're all busy. That doesn't mean nothing. It's about what you prioritize. Is your work more important? Is your Quran more important? Is your family more important? Is your wife, your husband, your best friend, your phone, Netflix? What are you prioritizing? Because if you prioritize right, you got time for anything in this world. There's no such thing as I'm busy. No, your priorities ain't right. You're just not prioritizing the Quran. That's what it really is. Say what it is. Don't hide. So we want to prioritize the Quran. Part of that is not going to be easy just doing that overnight. Where I'm spending an hour, I got to take an hour a day, whatever I'm doing, I got to get rid of it overnight and give it to the Quran. That's not easy. But to say 1 minute, that's easy. You don't even got to get rid of nothing in your schedule. Whatever you're doing, you can keep it, just add a minute. But as we start going out throughout the weeks, you're going to notice like, oh, I don't have time for this anymore. I don't have time for that anymore. Because I need to give it to the Quran. So that's very important that we're doing our daily revision. The revision is a huge part of this class. How do we memorize and retain at the same time? We're going to give that to you every week. And it's right there in front of you. Like it's not rocket science. You just review everything that you took until the end of Juz Amma. Like you're in the beginning, you're reading 1 page a day, and then that's going to turn to 2 pages a day. That's going to turn to 3, 4, 5, 10. But the max is ever going to be is 1 juz, which is very doable for everybody in this class. Everybody has the ability to review a juz a day. Once you finish Juz Amma, you don't even have to keep up that schedule. When we move on to Surah Al-Baqarah or Juz Tabarak, whatever this class goes to, then you won't have to do that anymore. All you have to review is 1/8, but we'll talk about that when we get there, inshallah. So for this week, the homework was to take the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, which we already took last week. So if you know the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha already, or if you were here last week, then bi'idhnillah we'll take it today. And for those who never took it, this class will be a little beneficial for you, but in reality, you got to go out your way and take the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is also on the group as well. You can just take that on the group, inshallah. So next week when you come into class, whatever we're about to do right now for Surah Al-Fatiha, that's what we're going to be doing for Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. So make sure you guys write it down on your hand if you have to. Join the Telegram group chat, Ahl al-Quran. AHLALQURAN. Ahl al-Quran. Make sure you join that chat, because otherwise you won't have access to this stuff. Also, something we're not doing in this class that you really need to do that's going to benefit you is learn how to read Arabic using Al-Qa'ida Nuraniyya. That's going to help you a lot. Typically in the past, what we've done is we don't even start memorizing until we finish learning how to read. Then we get into these ayat. But for the purpose of this class, a lot of people, they wanted to jump into memorizing. We want to finish Juz Amma before next Ramadan. That's our goal, so we're getting right into the goal. You know, there's a saying, if you gave me 9 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend 8 hours sharpening my axe. And that's what we want to do here. You know, if I give you a baseball bat, you're sitting there hitting the tree, you can sit there for years before that tree falls down. But if you just spend time sharpening that thing into an axe, you're investing for yourself. So same thing with the Quran. Do you like that for 1 page of Quran, it takes you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to memorize, or days to memorize? It might be like that in the beginning, but do you want it to stay like that for the rest of your life? Or do you invest some of your time to learn how to read, and now it takes you 30 minutes to memorize a page, 20 minutes to memorize a page. So you invested in yourself. You're only saving your own time. So in the beginning, it might be frustrating. You're trying to read Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Nas. You don't even know how to read. So it's harder for you. You got to go look at the transliteration. You got to listen to it so much before you even pick up what he's saying. You got to break down the words. You can't even see the word. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work. That's why we're starting off slow. But if throughout these weeks you learn how to read using what? Al-Qa'ida An-Nuraniyya. Write it down. Spell it out. Al-Qa'ida. A-L. Write it down. If you know how to read, you don't need it. But if you don't know how to read, write this down. You go on YouTube, you type in Al-Qa'ida. Q-A. Al-Qa'i. صح? Al-Qa'ida. D-A-H. Al-Qa'ida An-Nuraniyya. Nuraniyya is the second word. N-O-O-R. Nur. A. Nura. Ni. N-I-Y-A-H. Al-Qa'ida An-Nuraniyya. It's a video, it's 17 videos. That's all that stands between you and learning how to read, is 17 videos. And in reality, it's really only like 6 videos, because a lot of them are just extra, that just hones your skills even more. But in reality, they're really only like 6 videos, where if you take those 6 videos You could pick up the Mus'haf. You could open up that book in Arabic, and you could just start reading. So practice with that. Grab a friend, grab a buddy, hit up your teacher after class, find another teacher. Alhamdulillah, we got a lot of people here who are really good in Quran. Your classmates, we got a Hafidh sitting amongst you. You guys could reach out and learn how to read on top of what you're doing here, because it's only going to benefit you, inshallah. If you go all Juz Amma and you don't know how to read, and now we drop the Surah Al-Baqarah, and it's just going to be very difficult for you. But if you learn how to read within this time, you learn your Tajweed within this time, that's it. You got your axe now. Now, anytime you want to memorize Quran, it's going to be easy. Tajweed is easy for you. Reading is easy for you, inshallah. Any questions on a class structure before we jump into Surah Al-Fatiha? Yes. Salam.
Alhamdulillah, we're here.
Alhamdulillah.
But I live in Tom's River. She lives in Barnaby. I was wondering if this is available to participate in these classes online.
Yeah, I think inshallah it's going to be recorded every week like the physical class, but better than this class is that Telegram group I'm talking about. You have a video that breaks down the Tajweed, and then 3 audios. One audio of the word by word breakdown, and then a Tafsir breakdown, and then just a recitation of the ayat. So you can always follow on that group.
And how do I join that group?
It's on Telegram. Our sister inshallah will add you to it. Anybody on this group who wants to join it, Abdul Wahid can help you out inshallah. So this is the schedule. Have it, keep it. If you fall behind, it doesn't matter. That's not why we're doing this. It's not just about, your intention isn't to finish Juz Amma in 32 weeks. That's a goal, but that's not your intention. My intention is, I'm trying to get closer to the Book of Allah. I want to learn how to read. I want to learn some meanings. I want to implement this in my life. And if you fall behind, you fall behind. That's fine. But I'm going to be here every single week. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get the benefits of the gathering every single week. That's what we're all about here, inshallah. Fall behind, don't lose hope. The Prophet ﷺ, he talked about the al-mahir bil-Qur'an, the one who's proficient bil-Qur'an, ma'a safaratul kiram al-barra, he's with the noble angels. But the one who stutters and struggles, lahu ajran, he has double the reward. So don't think that you spending hours on this surah is something worthless, it doesn't make you good enough or something. No. Inshallah, you're where you need to be, inshallah. All right, no questions on the class structure? So next week, you guys got to come in with the tafsir and the tajweed of Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. You don't have to memorize it. Memorizing is going to start next Friday. Next Friday is when you have to memorize Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. So now you got these 7 days to, number 1, learn the tafsir and tajweed of Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. To learn Surah Al-Fatiha if you haven't done it already, and we're going to go over it today in class, inshallah. And to learn how to read. You're not going to finish all 70 videos in 1 week, but make some progress. If you don't know anything, learn some of your letters before next Friday. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters, don't come in next week not learning anything. If all you took was alif all week, I brought something of my letters. Just make sure that you're learning something of how to read this week, inshallah. If you already know your letters, then learn the harakat. If you know the harakat, learn the tanween. If you know the tanween, then learn the 3 letters. Putting 3 letters together, making a word. Or the next lesson. Follow the Qa'da Nuraniya playlist on YouTube. You're going to find a lot of playlists. You can pick on anyone. There's so many different mashayikh going through that book. Pick on anyone. If you type it in Arabic, then you'll get the official playlist. We can share that with you guys, inshallah, after class. Or we might post, if you guys are all in the Ahl Quran chat, we might just post it for a couple hours after class. You take that link, and then we'll delete it. All right, so that's going to be what we do next week, inshallah. We're going to stick to this structure every week. In tafsir, we're taking the tafsir of Ibn Kathir and Ibn Uthaymeen. That's what we said, inshallah. We're going to stick to it. All right, any questions? What time we got? All right, so last week we went into the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha. So today we're going to take a really quick review of the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is what we're going to do next week with Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. Quick review in class. We don't have to go into every single narration and everything that was said because you guys already took that. And we're going to go into the reciting it and the tajweed. That's where you really need a teacher. That's something you can't take on your own. Tafsir, you shouldn't take anything on your own, really. Man kana shaykhuhu kitabuhu kana akhta'uhu aktharu min sawabihi. Whoever his shaykh was his book, he's going to have more mistakes than things that he gets right. You need a teacher in everything. But tajweed, you really need a teacher because how you know if you're reciting it right or not? You need somebody to listen to you. All right, so that's what we're going to do today, inshallah. So Surah Al-Fatiha, who remembers from last week, or maybe you weren't here last week, but you know, Surah Al-Fatiha is surah that is Mekki or Madani. Mekki meaning, or what does that even mean that a surah is Mekki or Madani? We said last week. Who was here? What does that mean? No. It doesn't mean that it was revealed in Mecca, although that's what it sounds like because it's right there in the name, right? Mekki is a Meccan surah, or Madani is a Medina Surah. You would think that it means where it was revealed, but it's not. Yeah. When it was revealed. Was it revealed before or after the Hijrah? So the Prophet ﷺ, he spent the first how long in Mecca? He was born in Mecca, and how long was he there for? 13 years in Mecca. Then he migrated to Medina for 10 years. Then he came back and conquered Mecca. But then he spent the rest of his life in Medina before he died. So it's not about where it was revealed, it's about when it was revealed. The Hijrah, after that first 13 years, when the Prophet made Hijrah, there was a time when he went back to Mecca, right? If ayat were revealed at that time, it's still considered a Median surah. Why is that important? Because you learn like laws of abrogation, for example. Like this ayah came down after this one, so we're going to take the newer ayah because that law was abrogated. Abrogation, that's something we talk about later. Allah will send down a new law. Like it'll be a temporary law, but then He'll wipe it out for a new law. For the sake of the Muslims and for a hikmah that Allah has. Allah is the most wise. So He knew, for example, that the prohibiting alcohol altogether wasn't something that should happen in one ayah. So Allah, He gradually prohibited alcohol. He said, don't come to the prayer while you're drunk. And then later He said, don't drink at all. Fasting, for example, it wasn't something that just was obligated in one shot. Allah gave you the option. If you don't want to fast, then feed a poor person per day in Ramadan that you don't fast. Then later it abrogated, a new law came down. So knowing what came first and second helps you with the abrogation laws. Also the style changes. In the beginning of Revelation, motivating ayat, very motivational, very scary, very hopeful, Jannah, the hellfire, who Allah is, teaching you about Allah, the fundamentals. And then after all that's established in the Meccan ayat, then you got the Median ayat, laws, inheritance laws, divorce laws, marriage, this, that, all the details of how to live your life in Islam, that all comes down later in those ayats. So there's the theme changes. So Surah Al-Fatiha, what do you think? Would it have been an early surah or would it have been a later surah? Just had to guess. Early. Surah Al-Fatiha, you needed to pray your prayers. So obviously it would have came down early. It's a Meccan surah, that's what the ulama they say. We said to know about Surah Al-Fatiha, one of the best ways to learn about Surah Al-Fatiha, like a quick way, just like learning about Allah. What's a very quick way to learn about Allah? You want to know who Allah is. What do? We said last week. Learn Allah's names. Allah has how many names? Allah has a lot more than 99 names. That's a common answer. That comes from a hadith where the Prophet said, Allah has 99 names. Whoever memorizes them and preserves them enters Jannah. But that doesn't mean that Allah only has 99 names. But that's very common. People say Allah has 99 names. Allah definitely has more than 99 names that we know about, let alone the names that we don't know about, because there's names about Allah that we don't even know. So Allah has more than 99 names. Allah has a lot of names. So learn those names. The more you learn about them, the more you learn about Allah. So similarly, Surah Al-Fatiha, you want to learn about Surah Al-Fatiha, what should you do? Learn its names. Imam al-Suyuti, rahimahullah, he said Surah Al-Fatiha has 25 names. We didn't take all 25 last week, but we took maybe like a dozen or so. Who remembers some of the names of Surah Al-Fatiha that can teach us about Surah Al-Fatiha? As-Salah. What does that mean? Where's the dalil that it was called As-Salah? Where's your evidence that that's what it was called? Who can help him out? Tfaddal. Tayyib, Qareeb. That was he said there's no salah without the Fatiha, so Surah Al-Fatiha was called As-Salah. But was it really called As-Salah there? They said there's no salah without, and that hadith didn't say Fatiha anyway. That hadith said, huh? What was that hadith? No, the hadith he said. Hadith said Al-Quran. But anyways, what's the hadith? Tafaddal. Where it was called As-Salah? You said the hadith Qudsi in Sahih Muslim, where Allah he said, قَاسَمْتُ الصَّلَاةِ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ عَبْدِ نِصْفَيْنِ. I have split up the salah between me and my slave. When my slave says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I say this. When my slave says, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, I say this. When my slave says, Malik, so what is As-Salah in this hadith? The Fatiha. Allah called the Fatiha what? As-Salah. He said, Qasamtu as-Salah bayni wa bayna abdi. But in reality, Qasamtu Surah Al-Fatiha bayni wa bayna abdi. So that's a good one. What else? What are the names? The opener, Surah Al-Fatiha, the one that we always call it, Al-Fatiha, the opener. Ahsant. What do you learn from that name? That it? It's the opener of what? Of the Quran, of your Salah. Naam. What other name? Knowing that it was called As-Salah, like you said, no, there's no Salah without Surah Al-Fatiha. What other names you guys know? Ash-Shafiyah. That is to cure. نعم. What else? سبع من المثاني. That's what she said. Yeah, سبع من المثاني. She beat you to it. سبقك عكاشة. Huh? الشكر, the appreciation. نعم. What else? الحمد. What else? النور. نعم. What else? What else we have? الكافية. نعم, the sufficient. It suffices you. This surah suffices you. نعم. الوافية, the complete. الكنز, the treasure. الدعاء. الدعاء. That's one of the most amazing names. Do we look at Surah Al-Fatiha like it's a dua or just like it's a surah? You got to feel the dua in Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is what? It's a dua. It's a supplication. You asking Allah for something. What are you asking Allah for? That's what we're going to take today. Guidance. Yeah. What else? Al-Munajah, the secret conversation. So what does that teach you about Surah Al-Fatiha? That you better treat it like that. Don't you? Allahu Akbar, that's how you praying. No, have a conversation with Allah with Surah Al-Fatiha. Because of that hadith that he mentioned, Sahih Muslim, when you say something, Allah says something back. You want to memorize that, which we're going to take today, inshallah. It's a secret conversation. What else was it called? Kitab, the mother of the book. The mother of the book, yes, great. Why is it called the mother of the book? Yeah. All the meanings of the Quran, all the meanings of all the books that were ever revealed are contained in there. It's the it's the marji', it's the place of return. Nah, the origin. Yeah. What else? It was called a tafweed. Who can tell me what a tafweed means? A tafweed. The entrustment. What does that mean, the entrustment? What are you entrusting? Huh? Yes. You're trusting Allah. What are you entrusting to Allah? What is the thing that you're trusting Allah with? That's the question. That's a good. Your hidayah, your guidance. You're entrusting your guidance with Allah. You don't think that you're guided. That's a big problem a lot of Muslims have in Philadelphia specifically, right? I'm guided and you're on bid'ah. You're an innovator. I'm the one who's guided. You don't know what you're talking about. It's me. I'm the truth. I'm the way. You got to follow me. I was like, they was reading the Bible. There's no way to the Father except through me or something. No, we don't assume we have guidance. We entrust that to Allah. We ask Allah every single day for guidance. The Prophet ﷺ every day would say, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi adinak. Who are you? When the Prophet every day he's asking for guidance. Who are you that you just suddenly have it? So we entrust our guidance to him. But what else do we entrust to him? All of our affairs. What word does that come from in the Fatiha? And then we'll get into the ayat. Yeah. Nasta'een. It is you who we seek help. Ahsant. طيب, so the names of Surah Al-Fatiha are very important. We said the isti'adha, there's different ways to do isti'adha. Isti'adha means to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Or to say in a different form. You have to do this every time you want to recite Quran, right? You have to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Where does that come from? When I tell you have to do something, or when I give you a hukum, I say this is haram or halal or wajib. Where does that stuff come from? لا بد من أن يكون لها أصل. There has to be an asl for that. Somebody tells you this is haram, this is halal. You say, where's your dalil, my friend? Where's the ayah in the Quran that says that? Or where's the hadith that says that? Or where's ijma' al-muslimin that says what you're saying? Because that's the only time we have a hujjah in Islam. There's other things that's dalil, like qiyas and different things, but solid evidence it has to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. So what do you mean I have to recite isti'adah? Where does that come from? Where in the Quran? فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. If you want to read Quran, then say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. There it is. Allah told us in the Quran. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ. فَاسْتَعِذْ is what kind of kalima? Where's my Arab? Where's my Arabic speakers? Huh? Amr. فعل أمر. وفي الأصول الفقه we learn what? الأمر يقتضي الوجوب. عندك أمر معناته هذا الشيء واجب. If there was no shurut or things before, and there's conditions for that rule, يعني don't go using that loosely. Don't say Allah said in the Quran, فَضْرِبُوهُنْ معناته ضرب واجب. Don't play with the Quran. There's rules to follow that. But generally speaking, الأمر يقتضي الوجوب. Allah said, فَاسْتَعِذْ. That means it's wajib. It's obligatory for you to say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم when I want to recite Quran. We said there was different ways the Prophet would say it. He would say, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم, أعوذ بالله المجيد من الشيطان المريد, أعوذ بالله القوي من الشيطان الغوي, and other things. But the most famous one is, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Oh Allah, I seek your refuge from the shaitan rajim. So we say the isti'adah. Then we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is it an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha? Is it not an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha? Bismillah. Is it an ayah within Surah Al-Fatiha? Or is it not an ayah within Surah Al-Fatiha? It is? It is or is it? It is? Raise your hand for it is. Everybody has to vote, even if you're guessing. It is an ayah. What about, who says it's not an ayah? You have to vote. You got to guess. I'm going to do it again. Even if you guess and I need hands up. Is an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha? Raise your hand. All right, who says it's not an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha? اختلف العلماء. The scholars have differed, just like you guys have differed. The more correct view, and Allah knows best, is that it is not an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha for many reasons. If you want that detail, you go on Ahl al-Quran, you study in detail. We wrote 30 pages on that topic. So you go, you study, you see what all the ulama said, all the hadith, everything that's brought forth on that topic. But the more correct view, Allah knows best, is that it's not an ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha. It's an ayah before Surah Al-Fatiha. But we know Surah Al-Fatiha has 7 ayat. We know that for a fact. Allah said that in the Quran. So, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ is 2 ayat if you say that the Basmala is not an ayah. So that's the difference. But there's strong ulama on both sides, strong dalil on both sides. No point of fighting and arguing. Is an ayah, is not an ayah? That's not what's important. If it's an ayah, then do we recite it out loud in the salah is a different question. And the more correct view is that you don't recite it out loud in the salah because you have a sahih hadith from the Prophet Abu Bakr and Umar where they did not recite the basmala out loud. And we talked about those who do recite out loud, why they do that. We won't get into that inshallah. But it's for somebody who recites out loud, it's fine. There's no problem, yani. There's also strong opinions behind that as well. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. So let's start with the actual ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Who could tell me what these words mean? Before you take the sentence, you got to take the words. Once you understand the words, you understand the sentence, then you could go to the tafsir. What is Alhamdu, the first word? What does that mean, Alhamdu? He said the praise. What else you guys got? All praise. All praise. Okay, what else? Unconditional praise. Hello. I like the unconditional, I like the all, I like the ultimate. That's nice because that comes from El. That's very important. Well, you guys are missing something. It's not just praise. Praise with love and veneration, ahsan, but there's another big thing you're missing. La. La. Thanks, there you go. Thanks and praise. Ash-shukr wa thana. Hamd is shukr wa thana, ma'al hub, like you said, with love and veneration. Hamd, that word hamd is not just used loosely. Like we say shukran, right? Somebody does you a favor, you say shukran. But we never say hamdan. Right? Hamd is not a word you just throw around, because hamd is I'm praising you, I'm thanking you, and I'm doing it with love and veneration. And like you guys said, alhamd, the ultimate, the unconditional praise and thanks is due to who? Allah. That's why I say alhamdu lillah. Li is a word, Allah is a word, and they came together. But they're 2 words. Li, Allah, lillah. What does li mean? What does li mean? 4. Alhamdulillah. The hamd is for Allah. What is Allah? What does Allah mean? The name Allah, Lafzul Jalala, what does it mean? Who knows? Everybody in here is Muslim. Nah. What do you guys think? Yes. What does it mean? Nah. Al-Ilah. Nah, that's what Ibn Jarir rahimahullah said. Allah is Al-Ilah. You know, when you take the shahada, you enter Islam, you say, La ilaha illa Allah. La ilaha illa al-ilah. That's what you say. There's no ilah except for the ilah. So ilah is something that you, what? What is an ilah? Worship. What else? What does that mean? Break that down. What does it mean to worship something? Al-ilah alladhi yuta' fala yu'asa. We took in today's khutbah. The ilah is the one that's obeyed and not disobeyed. What is that for you in your life? You got to ask yourself. Is it money? Some people, they won't disobey money. Wherever it tells me go right, I go right. It tells me go left, go left. It's haram, it's halal. I got to miss Jum'ah. I got to deal riba. I got to sell pork. I got to sell cigarettes. I got to sell hookahs. It's money. I can't disobey it. So for some people, their God is the dollar bill. For some people, their God is their own mind and their logic and their own arrogance. That's why Allah said in the Quran, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Do you see the one who he took his ilah, his God, as his desires? Whatever my desires tells me, I do. So in Islam, we say, no, I'm submitting myself to Allah. I'm not going to be a slave of nothing else. In reality, freedom is the biggest lie you ever hear in your life. There's no such thing as freedom. It doesn't exist. You're a slave to something. All of us. You're a slave to your phone. You're a slave to the TV. You're a slave to the money. Whatever. You're a slave of something. So the only way to be free of this dunya is to become a slave of Allah. That's the only time you free yourself from the shackles of this dunya. So, alhamdulillah. The hamd, all praise and thanks is for Allah. The one who's Rabbil Alameen. We took in that hadith in Sahih Muslim, the hadith Qudsi. Allah responds in your Fatiha. When you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, what does Allah say? You guys were supposed to memorize this last week. What does it say in Arabic? Hamidani Abdi. My slave has praised and thanked me. Allah acknowledges you. And Allah talks back to you. That's special. Feel that for salah. This is the munajah, that secret conversation you have with Allah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr Hafidhullah, he said, pause in the Fatiha. And Allah has the ability, even if you connect the ayat, to respond to you between the ayat. Allah has the ability. He's outside the limits of time. However, for your own tadabbur, your own pondering, pause. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Pause. Think. Allah just said right now, Hamidani Abdi. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. What does Allah say? Huh? Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. The most gracious, the most merciful. What does Allah respond to that? Athna alayya abdi. My slave exalted me or lauded me. Maliki yawmiddin. What does Allah say? Majjadani abdi. Mimi, Malik, Majjad. Majjadani abdi. Naam. So Allah responds to you in the Fatiha. What does Maliki yawmiddin mean? Maliki yawmiddin. What does it mean? Malik. Not owner. Malik. No, I'm sorry. Malik is owner. Naam. The owner of the Day of Judgment. And then we have Malik Yawmiddin. So now we got something we got to talk about. We have the Quran when it was revealed, because Kalam Allah is different. It's not like me or you, we write a book. It's the words of Allah. Allah sent down the Quran, and although it's one Quran, it's able to be recited in different ways, in ways that Allah revealed only. I can't come with my way to recite it, but Allah sent down one Quran in different modes to be recited in. So you can say Maliki and you can say Maliki. Malik and Malik. And we have two meanings. Allah is the king, Allah is the owner of the day of Deen. What is the day of Deen? What's Deen mean? What do you guys say? Deen? Da, the day of Da. It's not the day of religion, right? Because we know Deen means religion, not here. So don't say the day of religion, the day of Da. Ahsant. Allah is the king and Allah is the owner. So what's the purpose of these qira'at? Allah sent down the Quran, you can recite it in different ways. What's the purpose? Two reasons. Number one, to make it easy on people's tongue. You know how we have the Egyptians, they speak with the ga, the Palestinians, they speak with the cha, the Bengalis, they can't say dha, they say za. Instead of that, they change it to a za. Everybody changing the Quran. This is wrong. We can't do that today. We got to learn how to recite the Quran the right way. But when it was revealed, people were doing the same thing. Some people say mu'minun. They don't like to say mu'minun. They don't like that hamza qat'i. It's difficult. Mu'minun. They say mu'minun. So Allah sent down the Quran on everybody's tongue. So you got no excuse. It came down on your tongue. The way that you speak Arabic, it came down like that. In your slang, in the way you speak, it came down like that. So that's one reason to make it easier. Some say al-akhirah. Some say al-akhirah. These things, they change. Mustaqim. Mustaqim, sirata. Sirata with a sin, sirata with a sad, zirata. This came down what? On people's tongue. There's no difference in meaning. And then other times it adds meaning to the Quran. الَّذِينَ قَاتَلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Those who were killed and those who did the killing. In the way of Allah, they both get their reward. So there's meanings as well. So in Surah Al-Fatiha here you have Maliki and Maliki. If you hear somebody in Salah say Maliki Yawmiddin, don't be like, oh, this guy don't know how to recite Quran. He forgot the alif. No, it's a qira'ah. We could talk about that later, inshallah. So Allah is these three things that you learn in these ayat, صح? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. What are you doing in these ayat? These three ayat, what's happening? You making dua? You ain't making dua in these ayat, yeah? You're calling Allah's names and attributes. You're talking about Allah. Sah? We're talking about Allah. We're praising Him. We're glorifying Him. But we're talking about Allah. But this next ayah, are we talking about Allah anymore? Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Are we talking about Allah? You're not talking about Allah. What are you doing? You're not asking nothing. What do you guys say? The brothers got it. I don't think you guys heard them. What are you doing in this ayah? What's different? Iyaka na'budu. What does it mean? Iyaka na'budu. What does that mean? Yes. It is you who we worship. All right, so now that you got the translation, what happened in this ayah that's different? You're no longer talking about Allah. What are you doing? You're talking to Allah. You're not talking about Allah, you're talking to Allah. You better feel that in your salah. You better have that ihsan in your salah. Oh Allah, I'm talking to you. It is you who I worship, and it is you who I seek help. What's the difference between saying Iyaka na'budu and saying na'buduka? What's the difference between saying it is you who we worship and saying we worship you? Somebody who wasn't here last week. What's the difference? You was here last week. Put your hand up.
Ask the question again.
What's the difference between me saying we worship you, it is you who we worship? What's the difference? It's an oath. Okay. Yes, exactly. She said it already. What was your answer? When you put the object of the verb before the verb itself, you give exclusivity. Only, like our young brother here gave the translation. You alone we worship. The word alone is not found in the Arabic, but it's hidden. It does mean that. If I say it is you who we worship. If I say we worship you, we worship you, we worship this, we worship that. But it is you who we worship, that means it is only you. Like if somebody walks in a room, he says, yo guys, fear me. You're like, man, get out of here. But if he says, hey, it is me who you should fear, might have you shaking your boots for a little bit. That's a different statement. Fear me, and it is me who you should fear. It is me. I'm putting an emphasis on myself. It is me who you should fear. So we're not doing that about ourselves. We're saying it is you who we worship. Not worshiping nothing else, Ya Allah. Iyaka na'budu. What does ibadah mean? The word ibadah. Homework. Outside of this class, there's another thing you have to learn, which is ibadah. It means worship, but like we need more than that. We said Sheikh Tahir taught a 20-week class on this book called Al-Ubudiyya. It's on YouTube. You go watch that class. Go take it, write it down. If tattoos were halal, I'd tell you to tat it on your arm. Al-Ubudiyya. That book could change your life. How to worship Allah, how not to worship Allah. Who to worship, who not to worship. What is worship, so I don't do it to other than Allah. Ibadah. The reason why you're even Muslim in the first place. That's such an important class. A whole class on that one word, na'budu. And you got to know what it means. All right, but we'll be here for days talking about that. So it is you who we worship. We're just going to say worship for now. But what is worship? What isn't worship? What's the definition of worship? What falls under worship? Like love is a type of worship. Asking is a type of worship. Relying is a type of worship. Complaining is a type of worship. You should only be doing those things to Allah. So we understand why that book is important. I got to learn it. I got to see what those things are. I got to write them down. I got to evaluate my life. Am I doing these things to only Allah? You have to. Am I doing shirk? Am I doing these acts of worship? Loving, complaining, all this stuff. Am I doing it to other than Allah? You might have a level of shirk. Shirk is levels. Doesn't mean you're a kafir. But you might have shirk al-khafi, a minor form of shirk. I got to make sure. And then vice versa. I'm worshiping Allah, but am I worshiping Him in the right way? Or is this a bid'ah? Is this an innovation? Is it a way that Allah didn't? So we need to study ibadah. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. What is nasta'in? Nah. Not refuge, no. That's it is you who we seek help. Nah. It is Allah's help. That's the help that we want, alone. It is only your help. Nah. This ayah is very important. Yeah. This is probably the most important ayah in the Quran. Not the best ayah in the Quran, because that's Ayat al-Kursi. But because of that hadith that we had, that narration, that all of the Quran is summarized in this one ayah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is you who we worship, it is you who we seek help. Khalas, that's the deen. It's right there. Worship Allah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Now we start our dua. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to the صراط المستقيم, the upright path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, the path of those who you have favored. Who are the people? Who are the people who Allah favored? And this is tafsir, right? Because I gave you the translation, but now I'm asking you a question about tafsir. And we said tafsir is how many levels? Ignore my hand. How many levels of tafsir we have? Huh? I do this with my kids in weekend school. They always say the number that I put up in my hand. How many levels do we have? Who knows? What do you guys think? No, I just did that. Don't fall for my tricks. Hold up your hands. You guys give me the number. I see 6. I see 5. I see 4. I see 3. Huh? How much is that? 8? No, 5 levels of tafsir. 5 levels. Number 1 is tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran. How do you explain the ayah of Quran? I could explain the Quran to you by bringing you another ayah in the Quran. An ayah in the Quran explains the ayah in the Quran. That's the highest level of tafsir. Nobody can explain Allah better than Allah. So that's tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran. Then the next level is the tafsir of the Quran bi-qawl al-Nabi, with the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. No human being is going to explain the Quran better than the one who was revealed to, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ gives us tafsir al-Quran. And then you have tafsir with before the tabi'in, the Sahaba, the companions, because the Prophet taught them the entire Quran, not just the recitation, but the meanings as well. He taught them the entire Quran. So that's tafsir. And then you have tafsir al-tabi'in, the students of the companions, and then you have the Arabic language. Lughat al-Arabi is a form of tafsir. I could tell you what this verse means because of the Arabic language. Allah said we sent this ayat, the Quran down, Qur'anan Arabiyya. طيب. This ayah we have tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, the highest level. When I say who is Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim, Allah told us who they were. Who knows? In Surah An-Nisa. Who knows? Nobody? The prophets. He gave you a hint. Naam, who could give me the ayah? Naam. مش أنعمت. اقرأ القرآن مش أي. Allah said in that ayah very specifically, وَلَا هَدَيْنَاهُمْ, we would have guided them صِرَاطًا مُسْتَقِيمًا. Does that sound familiar? اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We would have guided them صِرَاطًا مُسْتَقِيمًا. You're like, oh, that sounds like Fatiha. And then he says what? وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. They will be with those who أنعم الله عليهم. What do you ask for in the Fatiha? صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أنعمت عليهم. It's there. Who are these people? من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. 4 people. The prophets, the truthful, the martyrs, the righteous. That's who you asking Allah to be from. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Oh Allah, make us like the prophets. Make us like the truthful. Make us like the martyrs. Make us like the righteous. That's who we want to be like. Those are my role models. Not LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, this makeup artist, that Taylor Swift. No, it's who? It's these people. That's who I want to be like. So one of the most favorite statements that ever came out the Prophet ﷺ's mouth to the Sahaba, as Anas ibn Malik he said in the Sahih Hadith, is إِنَّكَ مَعْ أَحْبَبْتَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. You will be with those who you love يوم القيامة. He said, we never were happy with anything the Prophet ﷺ ever said. You will be with those who you love. So be careful who you love, because that's who you're going to be with يوم القيامة. Love these people, you're going to be with them inshallah يوم القيامة. So that's what you ask for. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. We don't want to be like these 2 groups. The first group is the مغضوب عليهم. The next group is the ضالين. Who are these 2 groups? First of all, what does it mean? And then tell me who they are. What does it mean, المغضوب عليهم? Those who urge your anger. ولا الضالين? Those who gone astray. What does that mean? Because a lot of us don't know what astray means. What does that really mean? Those who are misguided. Those who are misguided. Those who are lost. Dal literally means the one who's lost. So who are these 2 groups referring to? So we don't be like them. Because you ask every day, oh Allah, don't make us like these people. But then you go follow their footsteps. How does that make sense? If you don't want to be like these people, make the dua and then stop acting like those people. So who are the maghdubi alayhim? Who earned Allah's wrath? The Jews. Why? What was the characteristic that they had? They know, but they don't act. They know, but they don't act. So we want to have al-amal bil-ilm. If you got ilm, you got to have amal. You got to have action in accordance to your ilm, your knowledge. You got knowledge, you got to act. Don't be like them. And what about the daleen, those who are lost and misguided? Who are they? Why? What did they do? The opposite. What did they do? They acted without knowledge. Jameel. So what is sirat? What is a straight path? Al-ilm al-nafi' wal-amal al-salih. You better write that down. Al-ilm al-nafi' wal-amal al-salih. That is sirat al-mustaqim. We ask Allah, guide us to the straight path, the right path. What is the right path? It's these two things. Beneficial knowledge and righteous actions. Write it down. Ilm al-nafi', beneficial knowledge. Wa-amal salih, and righteous actions. Write it down. Beneficial knowledge, righteous actions. I need both. I need knowledge. First of all, I'm not going to just worship Allah anyway. You're going to end up worshiping a prophet like they did. They took Jesus as a God. You're going to end up worshiping a cow or the moon or the stars if you got no knowledge. You're going to end up slaughtering your own children like they used to do because of what? No knowledge. They thought killing their daughters was a good idea. How deluded does your mind have to be to think that? But that's what happens when you don't have knowledge. So you need knowledge. And then you need what? You need to act. Where's the amal? You got all this knowledge. Where's your action? You got all this Quran memorized. You know all the hadith. Why are you yelling at me right now in public? Where's your character? Where's your good morals? Why you beating your wife? You learn all this Quran. What's going on with you? Where's the amal? Where's the manifestation of that knowledge? So you need both of those things. So at the end of the Fatiha, Allah, He says what? وَلِعَبْدِ مَا سَأَلَ. You get what you ask. You're going to be guided to that straight path, inshaAllah. We recite the surah, inshaAllah, we take the tajweed, and then we end the class. You're going to miss a lot in this class if this is the only thing you rely on for tafsir, right? But when you take it at home, inshaAllah, you write down all the notes, you hear all the narrations, you get the real tafsir, inshaAllah. So make sure you bring that next week, Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. So you're going to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. If you have a mushaf, it's better, so you can circle your mistakes that you're always making. We'll talk about common mistakes. We don't have time to listen to every single person. But outside of this class, inshallah, you can recite. To me, to my father, to whoever. It's a mus'ab. You can find a teacher you can recite to, so you can catch those mistakes, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Get in the habit of moving your mouth when you recite. Ibn al-Jazari, he said in his poem, لَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةُ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. There's not a stand between you and tajweed except for just moving your jaw, exercising your mouth. Move it around. Move your lips, move your mouth. Don't be so stiff. So move your mouth and show me every letter, every harakah. Alhamdu. Push out that do. Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Show me every letter, every harakah. In this ayah, a lot of people, they leave off the alif lam. They say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It's not hamdu. We just talked about how that changes the meaning. Alhamdu, the ultimate and the unconditional and all the stuff you guys said. Alhamdu. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم. The ra drags, but it doesn't roll. Not but It's heavy. Ar-rah with a ha. It's not rah. It's not rakh. It's not rak. It's what? Rah. If you think you can't say the ha because you're not Arab, then take your phone and clean your screen. That's the ha. Take your glasses, the window, you want to clean it. That's the letter ha. You got it. You know how to say it now. Rah. Rah. Ar-Rahmani. A lot of people saying what? Ar-Rahmanur Rahim. It's Ar-Rahman Rahim somewhere else. But here, it's Ar-Rahmani. And you change the meaning. Because the kasra is there for a reason. It's because it goes back to li. Alhamdu li. Harfu jar. يجر الاسم الحمد لله ربي الرحماني الرحيمي مالكي. They all have kasras because they all go back to the same thing, which is the praise and the thanks is for Allah, is for Ar-Rahman, is for Rabb, is for. That's why it has that. It's a continued sifa, characteristic of the name of Allah. Lafzul Jalala. So make sure you have that kasra. Ar-Rahmanir. Not Ar-Rahmanur. Nur is a dhamma. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. And just like we said, Rah, we're going to say Rahim. Hi. Not Rahim. Rahim. Practice. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. It's very common that people say Malik Yawmiddin. Malik Yawmiddin. It's not Malik, it's Maliki. Show that kasra. Maliki Yawmiddin. D, not T. Don't change it there to a ta. It's another common mistake. Yawmiddin, not T. That's a ta. Teen means the figs. Deen is the day of that. Change the meaning. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. The ya here has a shadda. Iya. And the shadda is that little W symbol you see on top of the letters in the mushaf. A lot of your Quran should be open. I don't see a lot of mushafs. We let it slide today because we don't have no time. But next week you sit in this class, you got a mushaf the entire time. Because we said don't get lost in the sauce. You want to be looking at the ayat and saying, oh, he's talking about this. And pointing at it. Even if you don't read the Arabi, at least you had a transliteration so you know what I'm talking about. So you don't get lost. Iyaka, the ya has a shadda. The shadda, that W symbol, what does it mean? That you double the letter. If it's on the ba, abba, affa, alla. But on 4 letters it's special, the shadda. Special. I'm going to ask you this next week. What's the 4 letters where the shadda is special? You guys are going to give me the answer I'm about to give you right now. I'm going to ask you this next week. You guys got it? The ya and the waw are special, and the mim and noon are special. What are the letters? The ya and the waw are special, and the mim and noon are special. When are they special? When they have the shadda. The mim and noon, when they have a shadda, what do? You hold it very long. Amma, anin naba. You hold the mim and noon when they have a shadda. You don't do that with any other letter. You say abba, affa, alla. You just show 2, you don't hold. But mim and noon, you hold. And the ya and waw are special. You got to do nabr. You got to do emphasis. You don't just say Iyaka na'budu, Iyaka nasta'in, awwala. No, you say awwala, iya. You do nabr. You put emphasis on the ya. Show that there's 2. Ya. Show me 2 yas. Don't just say Iyaka. It's like you hold it. It's like you're doing a med. Or like you're doing a idgham. I'm confused. But if you say iya, no, he did 2 yas. There's a shadda there. That's not a med, and that's not idgham. That's not ghunna. He's doing a ya mushaddad. Iya, awwa. So what 2 letters we do that with? The nabr? The waw and the ya. So here, it actually changes the meaning. Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, he says the word iyat, hamza with a kasra. Ya alif ta marbuta, iyat means shams. So you're saying Iyaka na'budu ka'annaka taqul shamsaka na'bud. We worship your sun. Obviously you're not saying that on purpose. Allah's not going to take you by what you do accidentally. But I don't even want to say that accidentally, that I worship the sun. Iyaka, not Iyaka. Don't just hold the ya. Do the shadda, do the nabr. Iyaka, let me hear it. Iyaka. Very good. And we say na'budu. Push out that dhamma just like maliki. What happens is, when you say the ya with the fatha, you think you said the kasra. When you say the waw with the fatha, you think you said the dhamma, but you didn't. Malik yawmiddin. I did say the kasra. No, you didn't. You said malik yawmi. The e for yawmi is not the kasra there. Maliki yawmi. Here, na'bud wa iyaka. I did say the dhamma. No, you didn't. You said the u for wa, but you didn't say na'budu wa. Push out that dhamma, push out that kasra here. Iyaka na'budu. Na'budu. Push out that do. Iyaka na'budu wa. Clear? Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Say musta and don't say musta. Mustaqim. Say musta. Mustaqim. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. This ayah could also be recited اهدنا الصراط with a sin. اهدنا الصراط with a صاد يشتمل زاي. A صاد that's similar to a za. But we're not taking that today. We're going to stick to our qira'ah. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Not صراط الذين أنعمت. أنعمت. A lot of people, they recite Fatiha like that. They say أنعمت عليهم. There's no qalqal on the noon. Don't bounce the noon. أنعم. أنعم. Don't say أنعمت. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير المغضوب عليهم. The غين is من حروف الاستعلاء. خص ضغط انقض. It's heavy. غا. غير المغ. مغ. Don't make the meme heavy. Don't say مغ. ما. ما. مغ. The غين, if you think you can't say the غين, gargle water. Oh, that's the غين. مغ. مغ. غا. غا. Practice it. غير المغ. مغ. ضوبي. Not دوبي. It's not a dal. It's a ضاد. مغضوبي. غير المغضوب عليهم. And normally you want to stop here, but we're stopping because just for the recitation purpose. ولا الضالين. You say walad and not walad. It's not a dal. Walad. And the dad is min huruf al-rakhawa, needs the drag. Just like you say as and f and ah. You got to say ab. And it's difficult, but you got to learn how to say the dad properly. Walad. Walad. Not walad da. Walad ta. It's not a ta. It's not a va. Walad dhalin. A lot of people say walad dhalin. It's not a va. It's a dad. Walad. Walad da. You got to drag the dad. And then you got to do 6 harakat mad lazim. Because you got a harful med followed by a letter that's sakin. The sakin is in the shadda. The first letter of every shadda is sakin. And then you do nabir. You have a med followed by a letter that's a shadda. You do nabir. ضالين وما هم بضارين وما بضار. Anytime you have a harf med followed by a shadda, you do nabir. You put emphasis on that next letter. Not just ضالين. ضالين. Technically I held the lam, but you can't hear the shadda. ضالين. No. ضالين. ضال. This is called nabir. Anytime you have a harf med followed by shadda, do nabir. So you can say it again. ولا الضالين. Drag the dad. ولا and then do nabir. ضال. ولا الضالين. One more time from the beginning, no interruptions. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Don't think that this week you have off. You got a lot of work to do. Every word of Surah Al-Nas, you got to know. What is Al-Khannas? What does all these words mean? You got to know. Surah Al-Falaq, same thing. The Tafsir and the Tajweed. Min sharri ikhfa. Here I got to do ra muraqqaq, sharri. You got to practice that the whole week. So this way in class, inshallah, we have an efficient class where we're just practicing together, inshallah. We might even have time where we get to recite to each other and we get the most out of this class. You got 7 days, a long time. So make sure you go through that, inshallah. Don't leave today's class without being added to the group. We have a piece of paper up here with our website and Instagram and Facebook, all the information that you guys need if you want more information on PMI. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.